Hi, welcome along to ArsenalFanTV in association with Ladbrokes. Now, in this video, I thought I'd talk about Arsene Wenger and some of the things he said yesterday in his press conference. Now, a lot of Arsenal fans, as we all know this season, have been saying that they feel it's time for Arsene Wenger to step down. They've been very unhappy with the performances this season. They've been very unhappy with the fact that we've lost in a lot of the same ways that we lost last year and the year before. And it's just been really frustrating for a lot of Arsenal fans. Now, there has been a suggestion that Arsene Wenger will stay on and will sign a new 2-year contract. There's been this whole uncertainty around the club. Nothing's been announced yet. And it's just been a mess. But one of the things that a lot of fans that I've been speaking to have been saying is that if he stays on, he has to change. We want to see changes in the things that he does. And recently, he's made a couple of changes. We've seen him go, change his system and go with 3 at the back, something that he's never done over the years. So fans are sort of thinking, well, that's a good sign. He may be open to change. Ivan Gazidis was speaking to the AFTV, the Arsenal Supporters Trust, about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And he seemed to suggest that they're open to bringing in a director of football and making some changes behind the scenes at the club, because Arsene Wenger basically is a manager that does everything. Everybody at the club is kind of responsible to him, even the kit man. The kit man is responsible to Arsene Wenger. The people who do the stat DNA, and they've got this thing called stat DNA where they look at players all around the world and get their stats and analyse them so that they can decide on whether that could be a good player to sign or whatever. Those guys are answerable to him. Everybody, the academy guys, everyone's answerable to Arsene Wenger. And I think what Gazidis was thinking is that, let's maybe a director of football take a bit of the load off of Arsene Wenger, or a sporting director, because, for a manager, he does a lot at the club. But Arsene Wenger came out yesterday and he was asked about if he'd be up for a director of football coming in at Arsenal, and he very strongly against it. I'll give you the quote when he was asked about it. He said, "I don't know what a director of football means. Is it somebody who stands on the road and directs play right and left? I don't understand. I never did understand what it means." And he said, no, sorry, no, I'm not prepared to talk about that. I'm the manager of Arsenal Football Club. And as long as I'm manager of Arsenal Football Club, I will decide what happens on the technical side, and that's it. And that, for me, was, first of all, a real, fingers up at Ivan Gazidis, who's been pushing the other angle. That suggests to me that Wenger is not going to be having any of that. So basically, we're seeing a power struggle start here. Ivan Gazidis wants change, wants to possibly bring in a director of football and make a few changes behind the scene to help Wenger out. Wenger doesn't want anything, any changes. He wants to run it his way. He decides on things. He doesn't want a director of football, and that's it. And it's showing really that despite the fact that we thought maybe, he was gone 3 at the back, he's open to a bit of change, he's not really going to change nothing. He also went on to say that, he's been managing for 40 years and, he knows what he's doing. He also, when he was talking to the press, they were asking him about, the stat DNA stuff where, you basically get all this analytic stuff on different players. And he kind of made jokes about that, about, how, now it's all this by computers. He's not really up for that. I mean, we're seeing a guy here, which I think we've all suspected this, that's not really going to be open for change. So I remember doing a video probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago where I said I think he should bring in a director of football. He should consider bringing in a new number 2 to help him out. All of these things he seems to be against. And we have to say, for me personally, a director of football would be perfect. Take some of the pressure off him. Why does the kit man have to be answerable to Arsene Wenger? They can be answerable to the director of football or sporting director. On signings, we need somebody in there that's going to make a new direction on signings. Every summer, and we're probably going to have it again, summer's approaching, every single summer, it's a summer of frustration when it comes to signing players. It was the same last summer, it was the same the summer before, it's always the same. What, are we going to have that again? Are we going to go into a season where we're not prepared because we haven't made the right signings? And remember, this could be even more difficult this season because we may not have Champions League football. Plus as well, we've got the mess with the players that haven't been signed. Again, that's a mess. If you had a sporting director of football, are you telling me that Arsenal Football Club would be sitting there with all these players that at the start of the season only had 18 months left on their contract? Oxlade-Chamberlain, Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil, Jack Wilshere, who, by the way, none of these players have signed a new deal. Was that good work last season by the manager? Or would a sporting director have realised that I need to get this all done? Has he got too much going on? He's got the stuff going on the pitch. He's got stuff going on off the pitch. How can you do everything? Arsene Wenger, if you are going to stay, you must change. For me personally, if you can't change and you're not open to change, you have to leave. Because at the moment, we can't continue on how it's been going. Something has to change. So, I don't know how you guys are feeling about it. I really would like to get your reaction in the comments below. Let us know what you're thinking after following that press conference. Of course, for me, I must admit, when I saw that, I was a little bit angry in the fact that I don't think he's taking it seriously. And I was also really wondering to myself that if he does stay on, which it kind of looks like he will we see a different Arsenal next season, or are we going to just see the same thing? Because the only way we're going to see a different Arsenal is if we make changes. Because let's have it right, the Arsenal last year was the same as this year, it's just that we performed a little worse in the Premier League. But it was the same thing last year, wasn't it? We got knocked out of the Champions League at the same stage, finished second, but that was only because the teams around us were worse than they are this year. There's no difference. There's been no real change apart from the fact that we're in the FA Cup final. And you could put that down to the fact that we've had an easier run to get to the FA Cup final than we did last year. So I don't know. I'm feeling very frustrated at the moment. I mean, one thing for sure, and another thing that's really frustrated me is that we still don't know what's happening with Arsene Wenger. And this all the more, for me, means that he should come out and say what he's going to be doing. But let's wait and see what happens, eh? Thanks for watching the show. Please leave your comments on this. I really want to know what you've got to say about it. Thanks for watching the show today.